Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk Whiskey, and happy holidays. Thanks for joining us for episode number 92. I'm Nick, here with you as always. So this week we're going to review one of my favorites in the bourbon world, and that is Maker's Mark. But this week we're going to look at the Cask Strength edition. So, one of the things that they've really knocked out of the park this year, I would say, is their marketing and advertisements. They've got these beautiful website revamp to go along with the seasonal colors and ambiance that brings. Also with their Maker's Mark Ambassador program, which I've been a part of for a while, which I talked about in my other reviews. Just a brief recap, they really give you a lot of bang for your buck. You don't have to pay anything for it, and they'll put your name on the head of one of the barrels that is to be matured in their warehouses. So we have Straight Talk Whiskey down there in Loretto aging away, and I'm not sure, I haven't checked in a while. There's an app where you can look at both the nameplate and see how long approximately it's going to take until your barrel will be matured. And they give you an estimate because they're not just like at 4 years, so we can call it a straight whiskey, where it's like 2 or more years. So let's say 2 years. We're gonna bottle this right now and move it along. They pick the barrel for bottling when it's matured and when it's good and ready, when they think it tastes good. So there's that, and then you can go down to the distillery itself and bottle one of your own barrels for a bottle for yourself. So that's pretty cool. They also have a really cool membership welcome packet that they give you. They give you all sorts of information about how it's made, all those sorts of things. They give you a nice little pamphlet on all of that, so you can go and tell your friends. They give you a little business card and some extra ones, I think, that you can pass around to people just to show off, that you are an ambassador of their company. Ambassadors are huge, especially for some of the international brands, which is maybe pretty obvious depending on where you live. You may have a lot of brand ambassadors around. So it's important, if you're really interested in Maker's Mark, to jump on their ambassador program, because not many other places here in the US have that. Actually, none that I know of really have an ambassador program like that for its consumers. So there's that. And then this holiday season, which was really cool, you'll notice this little plaid bow tie here that I've thrown around the neck of this bottle. No, I didn't buy the bottle like this. So they got a nice little bow tie. And then over here, which I've sort of propped up, and I'll take one off of here, they give you 2 of each, 2 of the bow ties as well. We've got the second one right here. Is a little holiday label going along with their advertising that you can see on their website, and that just peels right off, and on a bottle you can just wrap around there, which is pretty cool. I didn't put it on here because I wanted to be able to tell you the proof and see the bottle for what it is, but they give you 2 in case you want to go and gift that second bottle you bought to somebody, which is really cool. So anyway, getting into this bottle that I bought. Now, a lot of people will oftentimes, due to money or even availability, will get the 375 milliliter bottle, which is a little bit less, but oftentimes marked up in price, which is kind of upsetting. But I was able to find this at a local store for, it was discounted like to 57 bucks out the door, which was pretty nice since I live in a pretty highly taxed state. So, finding the 750 milliliter bottle of Cask Strength Maker's Mark at $57 a bottle, snatched that up the second I saw it. And I got this after I saw the holiday gift that they had sent, so that was more impetus to go and get it. So, Cask Strength, your bottle may vary, I believe, from anywhere from 108 to 114 proof. This is bottled at 110.4 proof, so 55.2% alcohol by volume. Distilled, aged, and bottled by Maker's Mark Distillery, Star Hill Farm, Loretto, Kentucky. They give you the batch number, 15-04, if you're keeping track at home, and then they give you some initials of the makers that go into creating this, and then of course the always beautiful wax seal. And unlike New York distillers, which we saw me try to, well, not watch me try, but how I tried to get the wax top off, and I was sitting there struggling to get it off because the wax was completely bound to the neck of the bottle. Whereas here, I don't know if you can see it on cable, they kind of give you a start there so that you just pull that tab around and you can get the actual top of the bottle off without trying to cut your hand with a knife trying to open this or anything like that. And secondly, still keeps all of the wax sealed look intact on the bottle. Whereas with the New York, the Hudson whiskey bottle, it was pretty far gone after that. So anyway, that's that. So we've got the proof. Also, it's a straight whiskey, as you can also tell on the bottle. So it is a bourbon aged at least 2 years. Now I've let this sit out for a little bit because, like many Cask Strength whiskeys, it needs a little bit of time to breathe. So this has been opening up for about 10-15 minutes now, which is good. I need a little bit of air. Even when I went in for an initial nose, as I do when I sample whiskeys before I review them, it had a very alcohol forward air, as you may assume, and also had a very grainy note to it as well. So now that it's given some time, let's go and start the review now. So looking at the color, it's just this beautiful mahogany wooden brown color to it. Absolutely beautiful. Very characteristic of Maker's Mark. Just looks beautiful in the bottle, looks beautiful in the glass. Now, this one's a little bit of a trickster because still on the nose, after leaving it out for a little while, it's not opening up a lot of the same types of experiences that you'll get once you taste the whiskey. And I can almost guarantee you that. It's very grainy, alcohol forward, and it's really keeping its contents under wraps. There's a slight sweetness, a vanilla sweetness to it, but not overtly so. You really have to sit there and get your nose in the glass. It's not an alcohol type note where you can tell it's just the proof overpowering your senses, but it's, you know, the complete opposite. It's the actual alcohol smell that you would get. Alright, let's go in for the taste. taste on this is similar to Maker's Mark in that it's so punchy in flavor and so rich and deep in flavor. Absolutely beautiful. First thing that comes across, just this charcoal, campfire, wood smoke, sweet, gooey vanilla / caramel goodness running through the center of your tongue. But then also this really deep, dark cherry, black licorice note on there. And a really, really thick liquid too. This is a type of expression, and I'd almost say it's the same with all of Maker's Mark expressions, is that you're going to want a decent size glass, decent size in terms of mouth and body to it, to allow those flavors and aromas to swirl around and open up and, you know, work out in the glass. You don't want something like the Capita nosing glass that I use. I think it's gonna be a little bit too much for it. This is a big, meaty whiskey that just needs to be. You could have one of those big old, you know, medieval goblets full of Maker's Mark, and you'd be good to go. You wouldn't lose any aromas, any flavors, anything whatsoever. Actually, now that I've taken a few sips, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water. My trusty Angel Share whiskey dropper, which is nice because you can literally add drop by drop, or you can just pour it all in if you're not careful, like I just did there. But so added just a few drops in there. Still a good amount of whiskey in the glass, so being a little bit on the freer side with your water is perfectly fine. If you have less whiskey in your glass, obviously you want to, you know, ration the water down to compensate. But, you know, this is not a whiskey that you need to worry about the flavors running out the door anytime soon. So, let's see what we got now. Still a little bit, you know, closed off in terms of aroma, but getting a little bit more of that sweet vanilla note. Also, definitely some corn grain coming through. So now one of the things that's present right at the beginning of the experience is a strong peppery note, and it's a peppery spice to it that just sticks on the tip of the tongue, and then it transitions into that smoother vanilla caramel notes and then sort of fades off. In terms of the finish, it's not as long lasting as you might think it'll be. The flavor is really deep and impactful and punchy, like I said, right at the beginning, and there's a nice progression from, you know, the tip of the tongue on the experience all the way down to the back of the palate, but then after that it sort of just smooths off, which is kind of nice, because if you wanted to do a little tasting with a couple different things, this isn't something that would overpower your palate, so it's excellent in that sense. You could certainly go from this and trying, you know, the 46 without any problem. So, I would caution you though that adding too much water, and too much water being almost at the point where I'm at now, is a little bit too much. In terms of keeping that initial dark cherry, black licorice, really, really deep dark brown sugar notes that I was getting at the beginning when I first took my first couple sips, those have started to go away in lieu of what I just said previously when I tasted this after adding the water. So it's good to see that progression, and if I added some more water into it, maybe I would get even more things opening up. I might get a little bit back on the aroma side of it. So it's fun to see the journey that you can take yourself on with proofing it down to taste. But if you found the flavor profile that you really like, and you'd like to sip a whiskey or something like that and not experiment and be really discerning about it, then find out what your initial pour is like, then find out how much water you've added, and then you've created your own recipe. That's the great thing about cask strength whiskeys, and it's definitely great with this one because you do have progression. You have a story really that it tells in the adding of this water, and I'll probably continue to do so after this review just to see where it goes. Not all cask strength whiskeys have that same type of journey. Some you add water and they really just start to nosedive in terms of offering up really rich, flavorful palates to it. So anyway, that's it for this review. For the Maker's Mark Cask Strength, we're going to go with a 94. It's an excellent, excellent straight bourbon, and I look forward to that barrel with my Straight Talk Whiskey nameplate on maturing. So until then, or rather until next time, if you're going to drink responsibly as always, and we'll see you next time.